We've covered a background knowledge and understanding of what volumes are. And now we're going to go ahead and set that up in our project. The next step in our project build here is to set up a volume within our Docker configuration. And we're going to do this to try and solve our problem of hot reloading, so we don't have to keep rebuilding Docker images and rerunning containers. Before we get started, you can just do a Docker images, just check if there's anything there. If there are, just make sure you've got a clean slate to work with here. Remove any dangling images if there are any. And you can also do a Docker ps-all just to check if there are any containers running or else dangling. And if they are, you can just clean them out. So let's just start with a fresh new environment here. The way we're going to set up a Docker volume is just by adding a new flag or a new option into our command. So first thing we need to do is just rebuild a Docker image. And we can do that using our npm script. So we'll say npm run docker build. And once you have built your Docker image, you can just check if that exists, and that's looking good for now. I'm going to clear out my terminal to give us a bit more space. To set up our volume, all we need to do is add an additional option into our docker run command. So I won't be using our npm script that we created. I'm just going to use the docker command straight here in the terminal so that we can build this up. So we'll say docker run. To create this volume, you're going to use the -v flag. This flag is going to take in a parameter of how you want to set up your volume, and so you need a source, a path to a source of your volume, which will be on your host computer, and then a path to the destination of your volume, and that'll be in the Docker container. So for our source path, we're simply going to reference the folder that we currently run this command in. So that'll just be // and then a colon to separate this argument. Part of this is we need to reference the path into our Docker container where we want the destination of our volume to be. And so we can say user/source/app. And you'll notice that this path that we've just declared here, 141 to the path of our working directory. Essentially what we've done is we've created a link from this bit of code that we have here saved on our local machine. We'll link that up to the working directory that we've set up within our Docker container. And let's just continue on with our command here. I'm just going to add this name option here. We'll call this API. Then we'll need to reference the name of the image we want to build this from. So we'll say my app express API. And then that'll be latest dev. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit run here. Upon successfully running the container, you'll see that we have the output of our Express server that's been started up. We have Node1 watching, and we have our server running on port 3000. We can test to see if this volume has been set up correctly by trying to make a change within our Node server. And so let's just create something here, and let's just add a very simple word to our console log here. We'll say test server running on port 3000. You can make whatever change you want. I'm just going to go ahead and hit save here. And you see, as I hit save, you'll see that the changes are now being reflected. You'll see this test has been removed here, and it kind of happens instantaneously. And so now we've got this bridge set up. We've got this dynamic link created through this Docker volume, and that's going to make local development a lot easier. And so if we wanted to test again, we can just remove test, hit save, and you can see how quickly this happens. It's like we're running it on our local machine. This is very handy, and we've solved our problem of hot reloading now. And just to kind of take a little bit more of an exploration here, we can head on over to Docker Desktop, and you can see we've got our My App Express API image. We've got our container which is running, and we can just open that up, and you'll see the logs of our server that is running. What I wanted to show you here is that if you go over to the files section here in Docker Hub, you'll see that these are all the files that are within your Docker container, all the operating system files and folders. If we head down to our user folder here, which is our working directory that we've created, if we open that up, so we'll have our user, source, and our app over here, you'll see that we have this note here in Docker Hub that it says there's a mount, a bind mount, and this is telling us that there's a volume that's been created. And so any file or folder that is contained within this app has been mounted to our local host when we ran the Docker container, and that's linked directly to our local code base. So any changes that we make in here is going to be reflected instantaneously. So that's just interesting. You can go and explore how that all works and play around with it. The last thing that we need to do here is just head on over to our package.json, and we just need to update our Docker run script that we have over here. And so we have Docker run and then -- name. Just before there, we need to add our -v, and then we want to put in our local directory here, and then we will reference the /user/source/app. And once that's updated, you can just save your work here in the package.json. And let's go ahead and stop this container. And so we can say docker stock, and then we'll just reference the name of the container, which is API. Then we'll just do a docker rm API, and then if we do a docker ps-a, we'll see that that container has been removed. Let's just test our npm run command here. So we'll say npm run docker run, and you'll see it has started up correctly. And let's just test if our hot reloading is working. I'm going to hit save there, and we can see that everything is working perfectly. So that's looking good. I think we've covered a lot of conceptual work here. We've done a quick change to our code base here. That's going to make our development environment a lot smoother. The Docker volumes are also going to come in handy when we start working with MongoDB. But for now, we've solved our problem, and we can continue on with our work in our code base. So let's take a short break here. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers for now.